on YouTube as well as Facebook. And for friends coming on Facebook, we're going to drop the link to this webinar in the comments, the Zoom link, and that will allow you to see our beautiful backgrounds and to see Channele, who's here with me as well. And so I'm gonna feature my lovely friend Channele. Welcome, Channele. You are spotlighted now. Good to see you. You can say hi.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Lovely to be here.
So Channele is coming in from France, and I'm here in Northern California. Go ahead and presence where you're beaming in from. I know some of you very well after we've been together on my other webinars, as well as the Awakening World, and we have been together in some courses recently. But for those who are new, I'd love to know where you're coming from. I think Randy's coming from New Jersey, Lynn and Leaf from Justine, Dia Therese from the Valley of Peace. And once again, Facebook friends, please come over to our beautiful Zoom webinar. The link for that is in the comments. And Channele, if you want to go ahead and share that on your Facebook, your friends can find us too. All right, so after we take a moment, deep breath and just presence who's here. Midge from Pocatello, Idaho. We have some lovely beings in Idaho coming. One of my nearest and dearest beloveds lives in Idaho most of the time. It's such a fun place that I've yet to spend time in. Greetings from Italy. Ciao. Io ho abitato in Italia per 7 anni in mia vita. Wow, I love that you're coming from Italy. Which part, which city? That's great. I never get to speak Italian anymore. So everyone, today we have some beautiful things to share with you to invite you deeper into this beautiful divine feminine embrace that has been such a big part of my life and is a big part of Channele's life. I have been working with these rituals of the divine feminine, the art of ritual, for over 13 years now. And we decided to come in and share a little bit of that beauty today. And once again, if you're on Facebook, you'll be able to see a lot more if you come to the Zoom. So welcome, Facebook friends. Come on over. We're going to show you some of the beautiful ceremonial spaces that we create and take you through a very simple and beautiful ritual that will raise your frequency and bless your heart and your life. Because ultimately, the reason why we bother to take the time to create sacred ceremonial spaces and engage in ritual isn't just for the superficial beauty of it. It is to create an alchemical container and to create an inner alchemy that raises our vibration, raises our consciousness, and allows us to return to the heart in such a deep way, to our present moment awareness. And that's where it's all happening. You know, we are living in a world that is just full of distraction and noise, dissonance and chaos. And the more and more we are bombarded with advertising and overstimulation and being stuck in our little rectangles, head down, the less we are actually present in our hearts and in our lives. So these opportunities to come together are to bring us back to presence. For those of you coming in, if you'd like to presence where you are coming in from, it's really a wonderful way to feel us all lighting up the globe together. One of my favorite parts about our community calls is that there's many of us all around the world coming together in this sincere intention to open to more love, to remember who we truly are together, to awaken together. And in doing so, we don't feel quite so alone. We don't feel like This is a lonely road of awakening, even though it can be sometimes very challenging for those of us who have been on this path for a while. We know it's the path that can be quite arduous, that requires feeling deeply. And when we are isolated and alone, it can feel a lot more intense. So as you presence where you are coming from and how you're feeling today, just pop that in the chat and let us feel your heart. Let us feel who's here. And know that whatever you choose to share is medicine, collective medicine, as we do this great work together. All right, so Channele, I'm feeling to just ground everybody in the space, and I'll begin by a very brief meditation, and then we can share a lot more about ritual and the power of that. All right, beautiful. So for those of you who have worked with me before, and those of you who are beaming in on Facebook, come on over. We're going to use our tools, and one of the most powerful tools we have is our attention, and then our breath, our body. Our body is the sacred temple. So go ahead and bring your hands of light up. And we often just bring our attention to the palms of our hands in front of our heart. So go ahead and do that for a moment with me. We're going to set our intention, bowing your heads towards your sacred heart and feeling into that you are bringing with you today. Just giving yourself this safe and sacred space, this precious moment to be with whatever is here. Breathing a little deeper than you usually breathe. And as you bring yourself deeper into the space behind your Namaste Mudra, your hands in this prayer pose, diving into the center of your sacred heart. And this is the place that's in the center of your heart chakra, deep, deep inside. Bowing so single focusedly towards the deepest part of your heart. Taking a deep breath there. And feeling into your intention, your why. Why do you gather in sacred community? Why are you here today? What is the prayer in your heart? And it could just be a feeling, a longing for divine love, a longing for deeper connection. It could be a knowing, a deep remembrance that we are coming home together, that we are doing this great work together. And as you feel your prayer and your intention, feel also the light of gratitude for whatever it is that you can cultivate in gratitude. Gratitude for this moment, gratitude for your healthy body, your shelter, for the love in your life, for the beings that you know that love you, even the ones that love you unconditionally from the other side of the veil, for all the support. And then feeling into if there's any part of you that you would just like to let go and release and give to Divine Mother, in a sense of letting that part drop and be held in unconditional love, that you don't have to carry it quite so heavily right now. So that might be concerns or worries or busyness of mind, or physical fatigue or physical pain. As you breathe deep into your sacred heart, just offer it onto the altar of unconditional love. Deep breath. And then go ahead and take your hands of light and put the flat of your right palm of light right onto your heart chakra. And bring your left palm down to your power center under your navel. Just lean back a little bit. Feel how we're often very forward leaning in our culture, rushing from A to B, looking down often in our phones. In this moment, I'm going to invite you to lift the petals of your heart as if that beautiful lotus with that precious jewel that you just tapped into, that sacred heart, is the guiding light that leads. And let your chin raise and the crown of your head come back, and feel how you actually lean a few millimeters more into your back body, trusting you're held. In this precious moment, we're held. You're held. Just letting yourself down, regulate your nervous system by a few deeper belly breaths. A shamanic teacher of mine that I loved very much said, give your mind to your heart. Just breathing and imagining that all the busyness of mind is just dropping down into this greater coherent field that the heart emanates. It's a true emanation of your presence that is not separate from divine presence, that is not separate from other, here where we see each other as kindred. And then feeling the energy flowing down your central channel, all the way down to the root, to the seat, and through the legs, and imagining us all around the world as we do this simple and powerful rite of grounding together, like beams of light, taking a moment to collectively ground our energy. Instead of a thin little grounding cord, imagine that your whole luminous egg, as if you were standing with your arms outstretched, spinning in a circle, that radius, that beautiful orb of light around you, is attracting this bigger beam of light from the Most High, like acupuncture needles on Gaia's luminous skin. We all ground these big cords of light, these big columns of light down what we're sitting on, breathing deep as it moves through the floor, the foundation, the building, or if you're outside, just feel your connection to earth. And feel that energy just tapping down the body of the goddess Sophia Gaia, feeling her love for us, feeling how we are connected to her as we are connected to divine and everlasting love, the great mystery, and that we are this bridge, our heart, the center point. And we form this beautiful light grid around the planet together, whether you are tuning in live or catching this later, doing this with us in timelessness. We are here in this rite, this ritual of deep connection, grounding, activation. One more deep breath, and then bringing your hands of light as if they're holding beautiful lotus blossoms out to the side of your heart, almost like wings, feeling your lungs expanding like the wings of the heart, and feeling this horizontal axis, this plane that now we've tapped in so vertically. Just feel that we are rippling across Gaia, and that the horizontal reach of your love, from me here in Northern California to Angel in Italy and all the way around the globe, to all our brothers and sisters. And if there is a symbol of unity, a symbol of harmony, a symbol of peace that comes to you, to just send out upon that ripple, feel for what that is. I'm going to invoke the frequency of alchemical rose gold, that the heart, this golden light, and the heart come together in this rose gold light of unconditional love. And taking one more moment and just seeing us all touching Gaia being held. And we reach up, up, and press our hands together and bring them back down to the third eye, to the heart, in gratitude. Deep breath, and let us gently, slowly release our hands. Being with me in that beautiful opening. One of my favorite things is to be together in high frequency spaces. And for friends on Facebook, if you come to the Zoom, you can see I'm going to now show some beautiful spaces that I've created over the years. And, the high frequency space is truly the energy that we create together. And the container assists us. I'm going to show some of the temples that allow us to drop into the frequency. You'll notice now, you'll see me gesturing on Facebook and like holding the air. This is one of the temples, and Channele has been with me in these temples, and she has had direct experience, which she'll speak about later as well. Direct experience with the frequency of working with color, very specific color, with archetype, and with symbol. We live in a symbolic universe. And when you are aligning to a divine archetype, a high frequency symbol, like the solar cross, or like on this altar, you see the symbol of a white owl in roses in this beautiful circle that has a solar cross. It's kind of small, but you can feel this is the symbol for phi, phi. It's a symbol that has deep significance mathematically and energetically. And on the floor here, these are all symbols. So we work with a symbolic universe in this beautiful temple of the divine feminine. And this is the temple that represents the archetype of the mistress of the waters, the lady of the lake, Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, the priestess, she who walks as a lamp lifter, an emissary, and an embodiment of the goddess of divine love. So this particular temple takes people deep into that remembrance in their hearts, this energy. Here's another frequency, and you can feel the difference. You can feel the color and the power of color. This is a temple to the Great Mother. This is an aspect of the Divine Mother that you see cross-culturally throughout time, from the very earliest beginnings of humanity, whether we call her Inanna, Sophia, Isis, Gaia. There's so many ways that people have connected to the archetype of the Great Mother. And in this temple, we are working deeply with embodiment and feeling safe in the body, held in the body through her love, through her nurturance. And this is about really allowing that root to release all the imprinted fear and stress that we've been conditioned with, so that we can rise into a higher octave of love and be her embrace and be her emissaries, her hands, her eyes, her heart in this world. Another powerful, beautiful temple I have loved creating is the green and gold temple. I think I even have another green and gold image here. Yes, it's about divine union. It's about balancing the solar masculine and the green, the fecundity, the feminine, the Gaia life force of being here in a body. The green and gold is about our spiritual sovereignty. And this word and this concept, sovereignty, is something that when I first heard it, I thought, I don't even really understand it as an embodied concept. It was just a mental concept. Isn't that like a ruler or a being that's sovereign over land or people from old, like a king or a queen? Well, there's a higher octave of spiritual sovereignty where it's just you and the divine as the highest authority, the divine and you. Right after that is, and it's not separate, it's within you. This is where we take everyone else off of those pedestals and we stop giving our power away. We recognize that the only true power there is love. So these ceremonial spaces, these places, these deep and beautiful places of ritual, there's one more that I'm gonna share with you. Just feel into the frequency of this one. Violet, the highest frequency ray, the violet ray. You see the Shri yantra, Another powerful symbol. Masters of the East, Tibetans use this, a yantra, as a meditation tool to focus and visualize. This is the temple of the face of unconditional love that is absolutely forgiving, ultimately compassionate. Kuan Yin, Tara, Mother Mary. This is the frequency of there is nothing that is outside of forgiveness. Christ consciousness. Really feeling that violet ray, the beauty of that, and how it can burn through anything less than divine outpicturing in our lives. So these spaces are powerful containers that we can do this work in together. And whether you're meeting with others in a virtual temple that you create a coherent space through symbol, color, intention, or you're in a physical space, this is a practice that has been with us thousands of years in the temples, in the divine feminine work that priestesses have been doing from ancient Sumeria, Egypt, Greece, many, many, many priestesses throughout the world, all around the world. Once again, if you're finding this on Facebook, you're missing a lot of beauty in the background. So come over, follow the link in the comments, and come join me. Here's a little peek into the Goddess of Love temple. This is one of our home-based frequencies. Channele and I both carry a lot of this archetypal energy. The Goddess of Love is an archetype that as we embody her, we really feel how she is the bridge between that vertical, transcendent, divine love, that agape love, in Hebrew, that ahava, that devotional, sacrificial love, divine love, and the love that we offer through our walk, our talk, our bodies, our hands of light, that horizontal access of how we bring it to each other in this world through our senses, not in spite of them. This is one of the primary differences of divine feminine path of spirituality as compared to many of the more masculine spiritual traditions that would say, suppress, deny, and avoid the senses, transcend the senses to find God. In the divine feminine, we embrace and love, and we do not fight against the feelings. The senses become the portal to awakening. The feelings become a navigational tool in the body, awakening in the body. It's where ascension is greater embodiment. And that's what Mary Magdalene taught. That's what the way of love was. It was honoring the body as the holy temple. Oh, my loves, you've gone down a little rabbit hole with me into this beautiful journey of archetypal spaces, ritual spaces. And I'm going to bring Channele back on with me. Hi, my dear. I was
Hello.
thinking that you could share a little bit about your own experience or anything from, you are a great holder of ceremonial space as well, of ritual space. You may want to share some of your experiences first working with the divine feminine ritual space and ceremonial container, and then whatever else you feel to share.
Yeah, it's so unique and powerful to come into a space like that. And I think it's the beauty is also the way that you weave in the exercises that we do, the initiations that we go through. And it's really in each temple there is specific practices and almost like challenges that you have to go through that are so well fitted to the archetype that you're in. So if you are in the goddess of compassion, you might have to work on some forgiveness, and through forgiveness, beautiful forgiveness rites. So it's just, I'm amazed. I'm very aesthetic. I find that if I'm feeling not so great, just having an environment that is uplifting is really important to me. Um, So just being in a beautiful space like that can really catalyze a lot. As Eden also said, this universe is made up of symbols. So when we actively use those symbols to awake something or trigger something within, it's very, very, and to do it with intention, it's very potent. The combination of the beautiful space and the setting, the initiations and everything together creates this very, very potent field.
I'm remembering the ritual in the Goddess of Compassion. Granted, this is a mystery school we're talking about, so we don't tell everything we do. And I would share that there's a very powerful ritual in the Goddess of Compassion that Channele was very struck by, because we use gardenias and we soak them overnight in pure water. And then at one point in the day, in that beautiful violet temple, when the beings are ready to truly forgive themselves, because all true love and all true forgiveness begins in the self. This is a core teaching that even years ago, years before I found this divine feminine mystery school in shamanic training, the leader, Swift Deer, this beautiful elder, said, all true masters know that mastery begins with self-love, self-honor, and self-forgiveness. This is a core teaching. And so as we get down to what we've found impossible to forgive ourselves for until now, this piece finally is ready to be named in a high frequency space. And the power of that space is such that when that thing is witnessed and named, it is done. On the etheric, it is done. And then the other parts of our psyches, our emotional body, our physical body are just going to then be catching up. It is done. And so from behind the seats, everyone took their gardenia water with the gardenia so fragrant in it. And we drank of the waters of forgiveness. So I would like to invite that this came up for a reason today, and that we do not need to be sitting in a violet colored space. To be here together in the heart, to be here together in love is enough. So I invite that if you don't already have water, that you swiftly get a glass of water, and that we do this ritual together. It's a very simple ritual. We invoke the spirit of gardenia as an ally, the essence of gardenia. We call it into our hearts, we call it into our space, and we take our water. I'm going to use my chalice here. And we take our waters and really feel into your hearts, beloveds. In this precious moment, there's a reason you're here. There's no coincidence. You've come here today. Your soul called you for some reason, some resonance called you. So as you hold your waters, knowing that you are mostly water, Mother is water, divine feminine fluid consciousness in form, feel into your heart what you could forgive yourself for in this moment. I am forgiving myself for the way that my voice sometimes becomes hard and harsh when I feel stressed, especially with my 17-year-old son, in all humility and my very, very real, raw humanity. When I lose my temper, my patience, I forgive myself for those ripples of frequency where he feels less than loved from me. I forgive myself for not being more patient, for not taking that extra deep breath sometimes, and seeing him as a divine being doing his best. Forgive myself for that knee-jerk reactivity, ancestrally imprinted. the way that I was mothered, that I mother unconsciously at times. And I forgive my mother. So just take a moment and feel into your heart whatever is here for you. Really make it matter. Feel into your heart what you could release in truth into these waters of forgiveness. Feeling the spirit of gardenia, feeling the violet ray, and feeling Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, perhaps a Tara. I often feel white Tara. Feel their presence around you, and the violet flame rippling into the center of your being, into your heart. And then we drink, lifting your drink, your water. Drink the waters of forgiveness. Alchemize anything less than love. Drink of the waters of forgiveness. Solve e coagula. Dissolving into love, to reform into higher love. Going to ring the Tibetan bowl for the one heart, for all beings who need self-forgiveness. Thank you. Thank you. Your softening of the shields of your heart, you're diving into the heart of forgiveness. It ripples into your frequency, into your field, into your lives, and into the collective, into how we all are co-creating in the morphogenetic field, how humanity is awakening through love, through forgiveness, through unity consciousness. In the divine feminine, we honor multiplicity and know it's held in a greater unity. We honor diversity, knowing it's held in a greater unifying field of love where we see each other. I am another you. Like in Lakesh, Alakin, the Mayans, the wisdom of the Mayans, in Lakesh, Alakin. So Channele spoke about something else in her share called initiation. And she said sometimes it's quite intense. In these rites and rituals in the mystery school, we go through initiations, and everyone's initiation is different because as souls, we're like beautiful cut gems in the diadem of the goddess, all different, slightly different colors, slightly different, beautiful refractions of light, like snowflakes. There's not one the same. And so when you come into an initiation, an initiatory process, life will cook up the perfect conditions for you to be tested once you say, I forgive myself, or I vow not to repeat, or I release something very, very profound. The ceremonial initiation is just phase one. Then life will test your alignment, your integrity, and that you are claiming. So I would love to hear from you, beloveds. Thank you for your shares. Oh, thank you for your beautiful shares in the chat. If there's anything you would like to be witnessed in today, in brief, just quintessentializing so we can just hold you in love, whether that's what you're forgiving, what you're going to be then seeding forward, because once we forgive, we open this space for something that we can really put at a higher octave in the place of the old pattern. So I would like to seed forward from my share of what I'm forgiving, that I am going to be more mindful in my response with my son and with my nearest and dearest beloveds. When something happens that I view as outside divine alignment in some way, who am I to know? It might be a gift. Can I just take a deeper breath? Can I stay present? Can I practice patience? This is what I'm seeding. that I will remember from this temple. I am seeding greater patience, greater presence, and less reactivity. And Channele, I would love to hear if there's anything that you would share as well.
Yeah, forgiveness.
Around forgiveness, or what you are dreaming forward as we're moving towards this powerful time together in France. I know that you are a very prayerful, ceremonial person, and there may be something that's in your heart that you're amplifying, that you're holding, that you wish to share, that's personal to you and potentially very connected to the collective awakening.
Yes, when you were talking, I was just feeling actually to forgive myself for not. I feel I haven't been fully showing up lately and contributing in the best way to my partnership, my relationship, tuning into that, and yes, forgiving myself, really feeling. And also when I was doing this practice, I could really feel um, energetics of how we can really contribute so much to make the release more conscious. Mm.
Yeah, our intention and our prayer is very powerful. Our words are very powerful. The language of now is very powerful. And as we change our thought, we change our behavior, we change our language, and when we speak a thing in a very prayerful, very high ceremonial space, it has power. Our words are way more powerful, so much more powerful than we've ever imagined. There's a mantra that it's not Sanskrit, it's actually ancient Aramaic, I believe ancient Hebrew, and it's vra, hadavra. And we've heard it in, cartoons like abracadabra. And it means I speak that I create. So as we do these rites and rituals, knowing the power of thought that is amplified by the power of language and the power of our word, what is said in ceremonial space is so important. I was in a high frequency ceremony all last weekend for an initiate of mine who was being ordained. And what I recognized was in that high frequency space, it became apparent to me the difference immediately when we were speaking of what we don't want or amplifying in the now the positive. And it was so radical that we all collectively agreed to only speak into the weaving forward in the positive of the yes, of what we're co creating. And that to even name that which we do not want in high ceremonial ritual space is dissonant. So, yeah, very, very important as we become more and more intentional with our waters, the waters of our body, the field. We are going to become we are becoming more and more telepathic as we awaken. As we awaken our extrasensory channels of perception, the heart is the master switch. As you step through the gateway in a grateful open heart, you will start to recognize from there everything gets a lot more magical, a lot more synchronistic, a lot more miraculous. And yes, you're nodding. I know you've been noticing this too. And when you come out of your ceremonies, Channele, you come out of your ritual space, it's like being in a waking dream sometimes. There's so much power in the high frequency.
It is. It's like a reset into the now.
Yeah, the beauty of being so present and in the field, and then how nature responds to you, how animals respond to you when you're in a highly coherent space, when your heart is open. We see images of Saint Francis surrounded by animals, and we think, well, he's a saint. That's a miracle. There are many of us who've had these miraculous experiences with animals after high frequency ceremonies where You are so present, so in your heart that your field has shifted into a frequency that is not repelling or dangerous to animals that usually would avoid you. Deer will walk right up to you, birds will come land right by you. It's very amazing what can happen. So, um, Chanel, I would love to save some time in this webinar to share a little bit about what we're up to in France, even for those who know they can't make it this time, but are putting that forward, like, I will make it next time. We're going to be doing these pilgrimages to the land of Mary Magdalene and to the sacred waters. This is our very first one together. And Beatrice is so sweet. She's saying, forgive, giving forth, pardoning all. Aho, sister. I am forgiveness, says Randy. Beautiful to scroll down and find your shares. Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to speak more about our work that's coming up in the lands where Mary Magdalene lived. And as far as forgiveness and how that is absolutely part of this work, we are going to be working with water and the power of water very deeply. Chanel, do you want to speak a little bit more about the amazing opportunity there near you in the south of France?
Yeah, so we are holding 8-day pilgrimage here in South France from the 25th of June to the 2nd of July. And this is not just a normal retreat or a travel. This is really a soul pilgrimage. This is the kind of journey that will change your life. I can testify to that. And it's a very beautiful constellation of women that are coming together. And I'm extremely excited to do this work with you, Eden. I've been hosting retreats for 15 years. So I've been holding almost 100 retreats. And this is a very unique, special retreat for me because it's with their Eden. And it's really a fusion of her walking the priestess path. My path has been a little bit different. It has been mostly in the Vedic traditions from India, and also a lineage from the Amazonian regions. It's really a fusion of these different lineages coming together, and there's so much symmetry and synergy. And yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Me too. And where Chanel lives in the south of France is a very sacred place that has these pools, these springs of crystalline, pure water that Mary Magdalene was said to have brought people for healings, for rituals of baptism and miraculous healings in these waters. And we're going to be using these waters during our ritual time. We'll be going to be on the land in nature, as well as visiting sacred sites where people pilgrimage to see her cathedral. And there's places that she's said to have even meditated in caves and holy relics left behind from her time there. This is the land of the Cathars. Many of us in the West and who have been privy to some of the story of Yeshua through the New Testament know very little about the Gnostic Gospels or the Cathars. It is the lineage that they were teaching the way of love that unfortunately was completely eradicated. The last stronghold of the Cathars, of the followers of the original way of love, was in the south of France in Montségur. And this land has been permeated with their history for those hundreds and hundreds of years after the resurrection of Yeshua. So some of us feel this draw there. Some of us feel this draw to the mysteries of the Rose lineage, and we might not know why. It's more of an intuitive soul remembrance. There is a prophecy that the Cathars made when the last battle, when they were being hunted by the Crusades, unfortunately, they said, "We will be back." And they named this time we're in now as a time that we will be back and we will be remembering. So there is this prophecy that's at work here as well in collective consciousness. And I find
They
that
said they would be back last year, or the year before. They said that we will be back. That was the time when the prophecy came to fruition. And that was 777 years ago.
beautiful. Yeah, so
Mm.
it's happening, and there are many beings that are remembering, and the veils are lifting on who Mary Magdalene really was and why she is such a enigmatic and controversial figure.
Mm.
And, I've said in some other courses and calls that it wasn't until 591 AD when Pope Gregory the Great assigned this role or character to her as having been a prostitute or whore that wasn't true. She was a wealthy, noble woman from Magdala or Magdalitha. Mariam Magdalitha was the primary financier of Yeshua's whole ministry and campaign. And she was an anointing priestess called a Miraphor. Her father, a nobleman, took her to Egypt. She was trained in temple arts. All of this is just coming out through the Gospels of Magdalene, through the Gnostic Gospels of Nag Hammadi, through the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Essene Scrolls. So much has come to light that was not told accurately for almost 2,000 years. She has
Mm.
now been made the apostle of apostles and a saint. But feel into just the suppression of the feminine over the last 2,000 years, this degradation of the feminine. She who had such a position of deep spiritual priestesshood being denigrated into some repentant sinner only. So we are lifting the veils on many of these myths and spells now together. And I'm very excited to let people know there are still a couple places left. We have this opportunity in this beautiful French chateau that we're staying in for the retreat. Chanel,
Mm.
is your kitty there? Sweet. Would you be willing to put the link in the
Yeah.
chat and the Zoom? So we have a room that is like a beautiful priestess quarters. This is an all women's retreat. We're going to be going very, very deep into working together in the rites and rituals, much like we've shared about in those temple spaces today, and doing work in the waters and healing our bodies and healing body shame and whatever reclamation of our self-love that we are being invited to deepen together in the feminine and sisterhood on this retreat. So this is a powerful opportunity for those who know I am called for these pieces of reclamation. I am called because this land has magic and remembrance and codes for me. I am called to go deep into my priestess remembrance and sacred ceremony. So Chanel's popped the link, and if you haven't visited the page, it's a beautiful, beautiful page that I would invite you to check out, even if you know it's it's not going to work this time for you. This may be something to mark to start to plan for the next one for you. And yeah, I know that the configuration of souls will be absolutely divinely designed. There are
Mm.
many women already. We're not going to be very big. Chanel and I have both intended to keep this intimate. So we are going to be maximum 13 of us, and we're almost full. So this is kind of the last call or two that we'll be making for this retreat. And we know that some of you have been feeling that pull, but still on the fence. And if this is meant for you, especially our sisters in Europe who know that they can make that travel work, or those who aren't, it's just the closer you get to the date, traveling from the States becomes more challenging for some.
Mm.
So just put that prayer out there. If this is for you, look into the travel, look into the dates, the 25th of June through the 2nd of July. And my heart is so grateful today to be with all of you, to feel your presence, for all the friends who have come and who will catch this later. Thank you. We are a magical group that is traveling together. We have been awakening for a while together. This isn't our first rodeo, as I like to say. Is there anything in closing, Chanel, that you would add?
Just that I feel like whenever I want to talk about this specific retreat, I become a little bit speechless because I know it's so so special, and how to even put that into words. It's a meeting with the divine, the, the deep meeting with. It's so potent what we can access when we come together and we create a coherent space of love, of beauty, of acceptance, of surrender. So every time I want to talk about it, I can catch myself with my words. But truly, it's beyond beautiful, and it's something that can really shift a lot in a very short amount of time. That's that's my experience of it. Mm.
So, so true. So beautiful. Yeah, my heart just expands feeling it because I know from the experiences, even in the temples here, and then to bring it into the potency of that land and those waters and Mary Magdalene's energy is just a dream come true.
Yeah, it's
Thank you
really
so much.
potent combination, many worlds coming together. Mm.
Thank you for inviting me, Chanel. Thank you for enrolling me to be a part of this. And yeah, I'm just delighted. So, so excited. So, my loves, thank you for being here today and sharing your hearts and participating in this ritual. It's good to feel you, good to see you. And I look forward to being together again soon. So much love, everyone. Bye for now. Be with you soon.